2005 while studying crime scene science. We both graduated and went on to work for Northumbria Police as crime scene investigators, as you can see from these images here of us in action. It was in Northumbria Police that we first experienced issues around crime scene preservation. In 2012, the police were hit by government cuts and our scientific support department was significantly reduced. Fortunately, Dee and I had already discussed a business idea that we'd had for some time, and it was then that CSI Training and Events was born, our first business. CSI Training and Events does exactly what it says on the tin. We run crime scene and forensic investigation training and events in a variety of settings to a multitude of audiences. And consider ourselves to be very lucky. As part of the business, we work as disaster response consultants, and we have delivered forensic awareness training to frontline responders, including to paramedic groups and security groups. It is through this that we have continued to encounter issues around crime scene preservation and continue to hear the same old stories from operational CSIs and other frontline responders. Just some examples include frontline response vehicles being parked over crucial evidence, an ambulance and paramedic team getting locked down inside the cordon of a murder investigation, arriving at scenes and finding points of entry boarded without any consideration for the evidence beneath, attending burglaries to businesses only to find the owner has cleaned up so that they can carry on with their day, and one of my personal favourites, a police officer doing his best to help, preserving a footwear mark, only for it to be established that it was his own footwear. I'm sure you practitioners know what we're talking about. In addition, we have frequently been asked whether our training is available online. It became apparent that it was very valuable, but needed to be much further reaching than what we could achieve with our face-to-face training, and hence Crime Scene Assist Limited was born and is now the digital sister company of CSI Training and Events. Crime Scene Assist has one aim, and that is to make forensic awareness second nature for first responders. We know that police officers receive minimum forensic awareness training, and that most of the first responders don't receive any training at all. We also know that the initial actions carried out at a scene can significantly impact an investigation, and that anyone interacting with a crime scene can be called to court at any given time to give evidence. So, whilst we're not trying to turn every responder into a crime scene investigator, and we recognise that different roles have different priorities, that preservation of life must always come first, and evidence preservation or recovery secondary to that, we do believe that anyone who has the potential to be the first in attendance at a crime scene should have a basic knowledge and awareness. We also believe that with the right tools and training, preservation and recovery of evidence can become automatically integrated into practice so that it becomes second nature, and that just a few small changes to practice could have a significant impact upon first response interaction with crime scenes. So that's our aim and why we hope to achieve it. And we aim to do this through a number of online services and training products. We will be developing further online training courses, but our very first product is the product that we're here to demonstrate to you today, our app, Crime Scene Assistant, of which we're very proud. Crime Scene Assistant is a forensic awareness app designed to be used as a scene aid manual and learning tool that can be either used on scene as a quick reference guide when appropriate, or as a learning and revision guide to be used at any time. The app has been designed to be used by anyone who has the potential to be the first in attendance at a crime scene. We have carried out a lot of market research in the last couple of years across all fields, as well as testing the app in each responder category. And so far, the feedback that we have had has been extremely positive, with many people stating that they believe this has been needed in the field for some time. Some examples are as follows. One paramedic said, "We need this." They felt that entering a crime scene for the first time and recognizing that they had no prior knowledge or training was actually quite terrifying. They felt that the learning that they could get in this app was excellent, and that actually when you consider what you would pay for a textbook, the app price was actually a nominal fee. A new trainee police officer stated that they'd had limited forensic input in their initial training and felt like they'd been thrown in at the deep end when attending crime scenes. They felt that the app would allow them to take the time and consider their approach and would be invaluable to them, particularly in helping to build their confidence within the new role. A criminal investigator whose role includes working with the police and other government agencies during arrests and searches of premises, stated that an app to ensure main principles of evidence recovery are adhered to would ensure that investigations are not compromised from the outset. A seasoned fire investigator and training believes that this app will be useful in assisting the identification of a possible deliberate cause of fire and prevent the loss of vital evidence. They felt that the app is something that has been much needed and is a good tool both for use at the scene and as a training aid. A seasoned paramedic of 25 years stated that they have never had any forensic awareness training at all, yet believe that it is vital to their role. They have gained knowledge through years of experience and now try to pass this on to younger officers. However, they are aware of incidents such as kit being dropped into pools of blood and a vehicle being parked over skid marks. They believe that this app would be invaluable to the ambulance service. And at that, we would like to now show you a demonstration of the app.
For today's video, I'm demonstrating the app being used on an Apple device. There will be some small differences on the Android, such as the location of the back arrow keys, but everything else will pretty much look and function the same as you'll see here. I'm not going to go into all sections of the app today for all of the responders. I'm also going to give you an overview of how the app works and the sort of information you can expect to see within it. When you open the app for the first time, a disclaimer will pop up. You'll need to read and agree to this before you can begin to use the app. This will only occur on your first use, so once you've agreed to it, you won't see it again. Because I've used the app previously, it hasn't popped up for me to demonstrate to you today. If you do want to revisit the terms and conditions at any point, you can find them within the More section. So in the bottom right hand side of the corner, if you press here, you can see we can now see the terms and conditions. If you click through, you can see we have more information here. Each of those 4 boxes, if when you click, you can see it's expanded and give us much more information about each of the sections that we've clicked within. After you've agreed to the disclaimer, the home page will be displayed for you. You'll see here that we've broken the app down into 4 responder categories: police, medic, fire and others. The reason for this is because the content within each of those sections has been appropriately tailored for that particular service. You'll also notice that we've colour-coded each responder category to make it clear which section you were in when you were using the app. From the home page, you need to select which of the services you are from. Other responders have been created for professionals such as security officers, bouncers, funeral operatives, pest controllers, search and rescue, etc. So basically those professionals who discover crime scenes and often inadvertently find themselves the first in attendance. Upon choosing your service, you'll go through to a processes page. Thereafter, upon closing and reopening the app, as you can see here, I've bypassed the home page and returned to the process page. This will happen each time to make getting directly to the information you require that little bit quicker. If for any reason you've selected the wrong service, or you just want to look at the other sections of the app for reference, you can use the back arrow to navigate back to the home page. On Apple, you can find this in the top left corner, and on an Android device, you'll find this in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The process page is the page you will see first in each of the services. The information on here is presented as a step-by-step guide on how to deal with a crime scene. And this is where the information starts to become tailored for each of the services, as you can see here. For today's demonstration, I'll use the medic section. Each of the process steps are accessible to you individually, so that you can just select the information that's relevant to you. For example, you might be confident on how to approach a crime scene, but you need some advice on how to preserve a piece of evidence, in which case you could jump straight into step 2. Throughout the app, we've tried to break down the information into digestible chunks. We've used drop-downs and click-throughs to deliver further information. For example, here you can see a plus icon. This indicates a drop-down, and when you click it, the information will expand and reveal further points to note. You can also see that the icon has now turned to a minus. When you click that again, it will minimise the information. A click-through is indicated by a forward-facing arrow, so you can see that here in priority 1, preserving the scene. When you click that arrow, it will take you through to a page that contains further information and often new menus too. When you've finished, you can navigate back to where you were before using the back arrow. In addition to the bite-sized chunks of information we've supplied, there are also very quick and easy to use checklists to help you keep track of your actions. So for example, in step 3, documentation, you will see there's a reminder list of important facts you should be recording at any scene. Ensuring you note these points will also help you later with your statement writing and any court presentation that you need to give. Once you have noted a specific fact, you can click that box and you will see that it places a little tick within it. It's important to note that in some of the checklists, it will also have a drop-down button. If it has a drop-down, it will show as a plus icon like everywhere else in the app. If you press that, it will give you additional information about the specific point that you are currently looking at. It will click the checklist in exactly the same way that this does. It's also important to note that the app will store all of this information for you. So if you need to go away and deal with something else and come back to this at a later point, when you reopen it, you'll see that the app has stored all of that information, so you will not lose it. When it comes to the point that you finish with the checklist and you want to clear it ready for the next use, you can just use the click the refresh button in the top right hand corner. When you click this, it will give you a clear pop-up window, basically just checking that you do want to clear it and you haven't pressed that by accident. So if you are ready to go ahead and clear them, you can just press yes, and you can see that now it clears the list and gives you a new one ready to run through again. Most of this information in the app is available offline and hence it's accessible anywhere. Apart from 2 links that we consider to be very important, but they are specific to UK responders. These are links to give you information on PACE code D for the police and a link to find local sexual assault referral centres. Currently, the app is designed for individual use on personal handsets. We will be continuing to develop and evolve the app moving forward. In the future, we'll also be licensing to individual organisations. This will mean full customisation of the app to be utilised on organisational handsets. We hope that demonstration has been useful to you, and thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, hopefully you can all hear me, and Dion's just about to join us. Just like to say, really sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Ironically, what we were saying is this is our very first webinar, and we've had obviously a couple of run-throughs and everything's gone smoothly, but fingers crossed it goes well today. Obviously there were some technical issues and we do apologise for that, but we really appreciate you sticking with us and listening to us today and watching the demonstration. And we're really happy to open up and answer any questions. Now, if people have any, if you want to pop them in the chat, we're really happy to go ahead and answer questions for you. We've got one from Neil there saying, is the app suitable from Scotland? Yes, Neil, it is. It's actually designed to be used internationally. There are only, as we said at the end of the demonstration there, a couple of links which are for UK responders only, but actually a lot of the processes and principles are just that, processes and principles. We haven't put any specific laws in there, so it can actually be used internationally. I hope that answers your question. Hi Fatima, nice to see you too. And I hope we really appreciate you all coming along today.
We do, thank you.
Fatima, you asked, is the app linked to the services? Hopefully your question was answered towards the end there. It currently has offline capabilities, so it means that it can be used anywhere. So at the moment, it's not directly linked to the services. What we will be doing moving forward is looking at working with organisations to license that and personalise and customise it directly to the organisation, so perhaps moving forward. One from Chris there as well saying, does it need a data connection to work? No, as we've just stated, Chris, it is available offline, apart from the two links, one to PACE Code D and one to Sexual Assault Referral Centres. The one to Sexual Assault Referral Centres clicks and it allows people to find that local SARC centre very quickly. So that would need a data connection. Other than that, no data connections needed.
Yeah. Can see one coming through there from Kate asking, is it suitable for forensic or policing students as a revision aid? Yeah, it has all the key principles in there of how you approach a scene and how you preserve evidence in the recovery. So yeah, it would be very suitable for those students particularly. And sorry, it's just moved. And what is the cost? It is up on the app stores now, and the cost currently is £6.99 in Great British pounds.
Sorry, just quickly scrolling through.
Yeah.
Got one there from Andrew and from Matt. Andrew asking, how do you cover the fact that forces all do things differently? And Matt saying the same thing, do you foresee issues with or challenges with variations in force policy? What we've tried to do is provide a step-by-step guide that is in bite-sized chunks, and it's really basic crime scene and forensic preservation steps. So force policies shouldn't really impact because they are just principles that should be put in place at every scene, no matter where you are working on that scene, whether you're in the UK or working internationally. If you take these basic steps and just basically alter some changes in practices, it should help with preservation. I hope that answered your question.
We're just having a scroll through, sorry. I can see a question there as well from Rachel asking if there's any guidance included for dealing with firearm evidence within the app. At the moment, there isn't much mentioned about firearm evidence in there, as particularly for the other responders, purely because we wouldn't want to advise anyone to start handling those. So there isn't much covering of firearm evidence. There is a little bit in there for police, and I believe there's a little bit in the paramedic section as well for how they would deal with bullets with a person. But in general, there isn't much covered on firearms. Like I say, it's a bit of a safety thing. We wouldn't want to advise people start handling those.
Fatima, you're asking what about confidentiality? So could you just clarify that question? See that one there from Sarah Bateman. Is there potential for universities to purchase a license so that all students could then access for free? That is something we are looking at moving forward, Sarah. Currently, it is individual purchase from the App Store. But moving forward, we are looking to set up licenses with organisations so that bulk buys can be obtained. Sorry, Kirsty, I think we missed one from you there, from Kirsty. Hiya. Have you aligned the content with ISO 17025 accreditation requirements for CSI? We know that a lot of forces are just going through the accreditation process at the moment, and not everyone's complete. We have done our best to make sure that it does align, but we're taking this back for frontline responders to really basic principles. You know that crime scene investigators are going through it, but actually all police officers, medics, fire officers are not going through those 17025 standards at the moment. So what we've done is we've taken it really back to basics with a step-by-step approach, so that hopefully if we can get the basics right at the outset from the frontline officers, when the CSI gets there, it's going to make their job a lot easier and a lot more effective.
I can see now Fatima has answered, expanded upon what she meant before, and put, is it secure to introduce data? A really good question, Fatima. Actually, at the moment, it is, like Angela said, a device to be used on handheld personal devices rather than corporation and licensed devices. So at the moment, there isn't actually the capability to store anything other than ticks. So you can just do your checklists, but obviously nobody knows what those checklists are relevant to. So it doesn't need to be that secure. It is secure, but at the minute, it isn't giving any sensitive data away. So when we start looking at licensing it to individual organisations, that's when the data side of it will really come into it, and it will only be usable then on operational handsets. And the purpose for that is we don't want people storing sensitive information to do with investigations on their personal handsets. For one thing, they can then be called into evidence. So at the moment, we've left the app for individual use, not storing any sort of sensitive data for that purpose at the moment. So I hope that answers that for you.
I see that Brian's actually answered a question for us there in the chat from June about Forensic Capability Network. Thank you, Brian. And we've got one here from Chris saying, if offering as an on-scene reference, is there acknowledgement that the forensic scene process is often at odds with the primary responders' functions? Example, saving lives, putting out fires, etc., and primary roles should take key priority. Of course, Chris, and we do say that, I don't know if it was lost in some of the sound difficulties we were having. We were saying that, you know, we're not trying to turn everybody into a crime scene investigator, and we do recognise that those primary responder roles, particularly, you know, preservation of life, must always come first. And it's just if we can get the basics right at the outset, those initial actions that a first responder has with the scene, just making some minor adjustments to hopefully integrate it into practice will have a big impact on the investigation moving forward. And what we're hoping is that it won't be something that you have to keep thinking about and think, oh, forensic preservation. It will just be automatically integrated into your practice, so you'll do it as part of your remit. Now, we know that's quite a big leap and a long way to go, but we're hoping that that's where things will go with the right training and hopefully with this app. We also recognise that it's not always going to be possible to use the app on scene because you do have those priorities to take care of, and we would never suggest putting this first and obviously denying your priorities. And that's why what we're saying is it can be used as a quick reference app if it's appropriate, if you need it, if you have the time, but also there's enough information and detail in there for it to be a good reference tool and reference guide so that you can use it in your own time, do some reading, do some revision in your own time. I hope that answers your question, Chris. Thank you. It's a good one.
It's a good one. Can see one from Leo, if the app is open for everyone or if you need to have an agent in a specific region. No, you don't. The app is open on the App Store at the moment for any individual who would like to download it.
Sarah there's saying from a university standpoint, it's excellent in crime scene training. And you can see how it could be used in degree courses, and a licensing option would be great in that regard. That's great, Sarah. I mean, if you would like to, at any point, get in touch or drop us a line, our details are hopefully on the screen there, and also available on our website. So if you'd like to get in touch, and we can have a conversation. You'd like to see the police section, Kirsty? No problem. We will, as stated before, we will send that over to you.
Can see one from, oh, sorry, my screen just jumped. I can see one from Adrian there asking, for numerous scene types, officers are informed to switch off mobile devices prior to entering. How is this impacting upon your device, upon your app? So in those situations, obviously, we would advocate not using the app on scene. And in that case, it would be used as a tool before entering those sorts of scenes. We understand, obviously, in things especially where there's devices, phones, radios can't go in. So obviously, we wouldn't advocate using the app in that instance. It would have to be used as a prior knowledge tool before going in there.
Got one there. Is the $6.99 a one-off payment? It is. So what we've done is we've tried to keep the price reasonable. We feel like there's a lot of knowledge in there, and that would be really useful to people. So we've kept it as a one-off payment, and something that you know, if you bought a couple of pints, you would spend more, and also much more on a textbook. And we believe that this information is really valuable, but we have given it as a one-off price of $6.99. So down the line and in the future, there will be no asking for subscriptions moving forward. It is just that one-off fee.
Can see just below that we have one from Matt asking, traditionally crime scene preservation has been the responsibility of the police. Are other first responders ready to take this up? That's a really good question. Actually, from our market research, we've done a lot of this, and from the training that we have done with security guards and with paramedics as well, it seems that actually it's something that they're really welcoming and would like to come in and be part of their training. A lot of paramedics have said to us actually it can be really daunting for them if they turn up and realise they're working within a crime scene, and they are thinking about the crime scene, obviously, as well as the patient. Obviously, the patient's always the first priority, but part of their care of that patient, obviously, once all of the immediate things are dealt with, part of that is trying to help them out as well in getting some sort of justice with it. So being forensically aware and being able to look after the crime scene and preserve that evidence as well is really a key thing. And the feedback so far from all of the industries, the 4 sectors that we've broken it down into, has been really positive, and they've been really willing to take this on board and start running with this sort of thing. They think it would be really helpful. So we do hope that it will have a good impact.
Just to add to that as well, some of the feedback that we've got from the paramedics is that they have to write statements, and they know that at times they can be called to court. Now, it might not happen a lot, but they do have to present, and often in coroner's court more so for other frontline responders. And one of the feedbacks that we got is that was really stressful for them. It's not something that they do regularly, and they're not sure what they should be including in statements or what they should be delivering in that court presentation. So in part of the documentation, that's what we've tried to include, really important, pertinent points to mark and to note, so that when you come to writing a statement for anyone, it makes it much easier down the line. Because we know as ourselves, we could visit a scene and then sometimes we wouldn't end up writing a statement or going to court for weeks, months, and sometimes a year or more later. So to have really thorough notes and make sure that you've got those key points, I think is really, really useful.
Yeah. Oh.
We've got one there from Duncan. Which forces were involved in the development of this app? The app is something that Dion and I have developed ourselves from our experience. Duncan, from our experience as scene investigator, and then through, as we stated in the presentation, through our experience in our training and events companies and working with frontline responders. We have worked with colleagues, still operational CSIs, and ex-colleagues from police forces and from the disaster response arena for feedback and information, but we haven't actually worked with one particular force in this case. It is our baby, if you like, and we've been working on it for quite some time. So we're pleased to finally get it out here.
Like to apologise if people can't hear me. I've just seen on the chat there a few people saying that they can't hear me talking, but quite a few others are saying they can as well. So apologies, I don't understand what's happening there if you can't hear me.
Oh, that's strange, because I can hear you well, Dion.
Yeah, and some people are saying they can hear both, but I can see Kirsty's saying she can only hear one person, and Duncan. Apologies if you can't hear me.
June stating there that access to information and training to non-police responders has been a gap for a long time. And it's something that we found as well, June, in our work as scene investigators, and as I say, in our experience in business in the last 8 years. And it's a gap that we're hoping to fill. And we have lots of plans moving forward, with the app being the first product to launch. A couple of people are saying that they think that it would be good for universities and teaching, particularly with the new era we're moving into at the moment with distance learning. We agree. It was one of the things that we thought about when putting the app together, that actually this is also a really useful tool for students in the frontline responder categories, and also actually for forensic students. Great. From Matt, great answers, thank you. Looks like a really valuable resource. Thank you, Matt, I really appreciate that. Sarah, useful for paramedics as well as forensic students, definitely. Like I say, the primary thing when we first started this was for frontline responders, for police, fire, and paramedics. And we then included others because we realised that a lot of other professions actually inadvertently come across crime scenes. So that's why we included the other responders, but also definitely for students.
Yeah.
IAB, does the app need renewal payment? No, IAB, it is just a one-off fee of $6.99. Adrian, I train mountain rescue and cave rescue officers for scene and evidence preservation. This will be of great use to these organisations. Thank you, Adrian. That's brilliant. And again, the kind of people we were thinking about in the other responder categories. So it's good to hear that you think that this would work for them as well.
Brilliant.
Sarah. Oh, Sarah's just purchased it and will share with her team. Thank you so much, Sarah. That's amazing. I think our first purchase. Brilliant.
Okay, I think we'll have to start wrapping that up now. If anyone has any further questions when we finish this, feel free to drop us an email. Our email address is on the bottom of the slides there, and it's also on the website and everything. So if you have any further questions, or you feel like we haven't expanded across one of your questions that you've asked today, if you would like us to expand upon that anymore, if you just drop us an email after this and we'll get back to you. We'll have a look through the chat when we finish. If there's any questions that we have missed, if you've provided your email address, we will drop you an email response over.
Yeah, thank you very much from both of us.
Yeah, hope it's been informative for you and hope you've enjoyed it.